6:12 this morning, and we are still learning more about the sheriff's deputy who's now being charged in a deadly shooting.
Yeah, Sean Grayson is charged in the murder of shooting and killing Illinois mother Sonya Massey. Massey called 911 early this month to report a possible prowler at her home. Body camera video shows Grayson responding, then
6:12 this morning, and we are still learning more about the sheriff's deputy who's now being charged in a deadly shooting.
Yeah, Sean Grayson is charged in the murder of shooting and killing Illinois mother Sonya Massey. Massey called 911 early this month to report a possible prowler at her home. Body camera video shows Grayson responding, then shooting Massey. Grayson has since been fired, and reports show Grayson has had 6 different law enforcement jobs since 2020. Records from his time at the Logan County Sheriff's Office include recordings of supervisors reprimanding him for misconduct.
The sheriff and I will not tolerate lying and deception. And I have told you that I have zero tolerance for stretching the law, because when you have officers that stretch the law, they will get caught, they will get prosecuted.
Records also show a woman who filed a complaint claiming Grayson tried to watch her as she was strip searched, but paperwork shows he left the Logan County Sheriff's Office in, quote, good standing. He was then hired by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, where he worked during Massey's shooting just days later.
All right, welcome to the show, 411 Sports Bar Network, Hottubtony and Mr.411. All right, we here. As you can see, that was a video there with Sonya Massey tragedy, and we're here to discuss it, and we're going to talk about it from, just from the perspective of what you just saw in the video, and then also we're going to tie it into the USA Olympic squads. So here we go. Hot Tub, you saw the video. What's going on, man?
So we have another case of a police officer shooting an unarmed black person. And I wish I could say these are unique stories, but we keep seeing these types of stories over and over and over again. First and foremost, Sean Grayson, the officer in question, the murderer of Sonya Massey, should not have been in law enforcement in the first place. I've watched this case for the last month or so as it played out. I watched it when they refused to release the body cam, and I believe wholeheartedly they didn't want their body cam to come out because they knew it was so damning that you couldn't defend it. But Sean, now I'm here to talk about Sean Massey. Sean Grayson. Officer Grayson was in the military. He was dishonorably discharged from the military. That should have barred him from working in the police department. But unfortunately, when you get a dishonorable discharge from the military, you can go back and get it upgraded to what we call a general discharge, which is what he did, which allowed him to get on with police department. This man worked for 6 different departments in the span of 2 years. With one department he's been fired from multiple departments, but one of the sheriff departments, after the Massey case came out and released audio of them terminating him because he refused to terminate a high-speed chase that he was on, which ended up resulting in him hitting a deer. One of the accusations they made against him was blatant disregard for orders. He doesn't listen, doesn't follow instructions, which is par for the course with the suspected white supremacists that we find in law enforcement. So fast forward, he gets on with the sheriff department. He got the job through his father-in-law, who is the chief of police. Ironically, he was asked about this after the case, and he was because because there were demands for his father-in-law to step down. He refused. But that's how he got this position. He was called out to Sonya Massey's property because she reported somebody in her backyard, a prowler. Instead of them investigating, touching bases with Miss Massey, and then leaving, they chose to go inside her residence, which is not required. You do not require to open the door for a police officer, even if you call them. You don't have to open the door for them. And the process of them talking, and the conversation seemed cordial at the time. He asked her for her ID. She could not find her ID, which, once again, is not a crime. Nor is it required for her to show ID inside her own home. So up to this point, she has done nothing wrong at all. And in fact, the police are actually operating outside of what they should have been doing. Cop notices she has a pot on the stove boiling. They told her to go take the pot off. When she did so, they had a verbal exchange between Miss Massey and Officer Grayson. In that exchange, all she said was, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." He raises his firearm and says, "You better fucking not. I'll shoot you in your fucking face." Now, to me, that's not an adequate response to somebody just saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." But he lies and he says he felt threatened because she had a pot of water. When he pulled his gun out, she immediately put the water down and said, I'm sorry, and dropped to the ground. She put the water pot down on the counter, dropped down to the ground with her hands up, said, "I'm sorry." At which time Officer Grayson stepped up, took 2 steps forward, and shot her point blank in the face. 3 rounds. One of them hit directly in her face. Let that sink in. Immediately after that, he refused to give to render first aid, and even went so far as to stop his partner from rendering first aid. Which, for that, I understand a shot to the face is really nothing you could do. But the video goes on past that, and you see them talking after the fact. Once the chief and internal affairs and everybody come in, Officer Grayson lies and says she attacked him with a pot of boiling water and commenced to call him the deceased Miss Massey, saying the bitch is fucking crazy. These are the words of Officer Grayson. Let us not forget that the police department, sheriff department, the mayor all had that video for 2 weeks before they released it. That was before they released it to the family. When the family saw it, the family deemed it necessary to be released to the public. Now, anybody that's seen that video know that's hard to watch. But I'm coming at that, and I summed that case up because I'm coming at it like this. I went through the gambit of emotions when I watched it. I was angry. I was angry for about a week. We were supposed to do this broadcast a couple of weeks ago. I pretty much wasn't in the mental shape to do it because I was so angry. I've been told by a couple of people that I talked with about it. They said, "You're getting too emotional about this." I think we as black people need to be emotional about this because what I'm seeing is a case very similar to George Floyd. Around the same time period and everything, during an election year. But I'm not seeing the same energy in my people that I saw at that time. And I have to ask myself why. Well, it's because we become apathetic to seeing our deaths. It was easy for us to turn up during 2020 because we had a villain in the White House in Donald Trump. So our anger at the George Floyd case was just an extension of that. But I feel like we've been lulled to sleep over the last 4 years because there's this tendency within our community to say, well, the Democrats are in charge, they're handling it. When in fact there's been pretty much just as many killings under Biden that there were police killings under Biden as there were under Trump, with the highest number being under Obama. So that shows you that this problem in policing spans politics, spans parties, and there's not a willingness within either party on the local, state, or federal level to stop police from killing us. So I'm a solution-oriented type person. And I look at these problems and instead of saying, woe is me, or we need to do better, because I'm hearing that a lot, that narrative a lot, which that has nothing to do with this. Let's solely focus on what it'll take to get them from stop killing us. And
All right,
right
so
now, we don't have the financial power. We actually do have the financial power to stop them from killing us, because our money is our power. We're the second biggest consumer group in the country.
come on, man.
We're
Trillions
also
of
the big
dollars, trillions of dollars,
second
hot tub, and the trillions of dollars that we
in the trillions of
spend,
dollars.
right?
So we can stop this, but it's going to require us to do some things we're not accustomed to doing. If you notice, this is happening in neighborhoods, in cities that are democratically ran, by and large, and that's problem number one, because that lets you know that we're the biggest voter bloc for the Democratic Party, yet we getting killed in the cities that you run. That can be stopped. We can put a stop to that. And I tell anybody, demand of your city. If you're not satisfied with the level of policing you're getting in your community, demand better. Go down to your city council and tell them, we don't want you. Get you some signatures. Everybody in the community, get your signatures together. Y'all go down there in mass and tell their city council, we no longer want you policing our neighborhoods. Before you come into our neighborhood, you need to check in with this person. You elect somebody, an elder in the community, or a respected person in your community, that police department has to check in with before they come into your community. Once they check in with that person escorts them down to wherever the problem is. They observe the whole scenario, and they sit there as an outside observer. Say, we want to watch and make sure nothing that you do going into this black person's house or this black neighborhood results in the killing of a black person. These things we can demand, and I know we can demand that, because that's what they do with the Asian community. That's what they do with the Arab community up in Minnesota, and the Ethiopian community in Minnesota, all up in Michigan, in the Iraqi community. They don't come in those communities without touching base with somebody from that community. Not only that, they have members of their police department that are from that community. A regular officer cannot come in that community without an escort from that community and an escort from the police, a member of that community that's on the police department. That's the only way they can go into these communities. And you see that also in Hispanic communities. You see that a lot in LA. When they go up in those Hispanic communities, there's Hispanic officers that speak the language. Here in Atlanta, you go up on the north side to where the Asians stay at, and the Indians. There is nobody that goes into their community without being able to speak that language. And if you don't have anybody on your police department that speaks that language, they go and get an elder out the community to come escort them in there. So we can demand the same. And we also got to look at how we've been voting. We all know the Republican Party ain't really for us. But Some of their policies can't help us. But what we got to understand, and this is a problem that I see with the older generation, is they're stuck in that vote blue no matter who mentality. That don't work for us because this happened under a Democratic president in a Democratic city with a Democratic mayor. Joe Biden is president right now, has not pledged to do anything about it. Only thing he said about it is he's going to watch the case play out. And he's going to watch it till he get out of office and the case finally comes to trial in the next 2 years, 2 to 4 years. Kamala Harris has not said anything substantive about this case other than it's disturbing. But
Wow,
we
that's
all
not
know
much.
she's not going to do anything about it because she's a former prosecutor and has routinely stood up and stood behind the police. So that puts us in a situation where we have no win on either side. But we can leverage that. You see, these people need your vote. The Democratic Party can't exist without your vote. Before you get in there and vote for her just because she's a black woman today, you know, tomorrow, by the time she get in office, she's going to be an Indian woman. Demand something. Don't just give your vote to her. You want this to happen, tell her day one, what's in your first 100 days, what are you going to do to stop police from killing us? Make her answer that. Whenever you see her at a rally, make her answer that question. Your first 100 days, what are you going to do about this? What policies are you going to enact as president that will stop this? And you'll see people that say, some naysayers that say, oh, well, they can't do it. The president can't do anything on the local level. Then if he can't do anything, then why vote for him? If you're not going to do anything about this, why vote for him? But the president does have a lot of power. They run the Justice Department. The Justice Department can initiate investigations into these local police departments where misconduct occurs. They can start pulling records of police officers that are being bounced around from department to department, hiding from their misconduct record. They can pull that. The Justice Department can easily pull that. They can do that right now. Your Democratic president can do that right now. But he's not. Nor is he putting up any type of legislation to make that happen. Nor is Kamala Harris. Nor is Trump, to be honest. So if none of them are pushing the line for your agenda that affects our community, because this affects our community, we should feel confident enough to call the police and not have to worry about them coming out and killing us because we call for help. And the fact that this is even still a conversation, that this still is happening, and people are trying to justify it, you should be incensed as a black person. You should be angry all the fucking time. And don't let anybody tell you just because you show emotion that you're too emotional. No, you're not too emotional. As long as your actions are well thought out and well planned, you can be an emotional. You can be emotional about the situation. There's nothing wrong with that. But what are we gonna do going forward is my question.
Well, that's a great question.
I've been told too many times during this whole thing, well, if you vote for this one, this has not got nothing to do with a vote. This is bigger than a vote. My survival, our survival, is not up for a vote.
Yeah, man. Tub, can you hear me? Hot Tub, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so man, you asked a great question there. What can be done about this? What's the solution? Or what are these solutions, right? And before we do that, Flojo had a couple comments going up and down the screen. Some you may agree, some you may not agree with. He says policies are above the I guess he says police are above the law or policies above the law. Not sure which one, but that's what Flojo says there. You can have a black person running the show, and they still do what they want to do. Bottom line, uh, and then there's some more things in here that Flojo was saying. If you can see all these comments going across, here's another one here. A white person cannot stay in a black neighborhood and work the neighborhood. They're not going to work. Uh, and 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 with some of this that's being said in here, um, I think part of the solution, part of you can, then you can chime back in on this, is I think like if there was more people in the police force that come from areas, right, that they serve down the line in the future, I think that would really help because then there's more of a relatable situation. And again, this is not an excuse on to what this officer did by no means. But if this officer was someone who grew up in the area, right, was familiar with the family, or at least what goes on in the area, or even as a culture, or kind of familiar with the people, then there would have been a different approach, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Like more of a different approach. But why do we not have more officers that come from areas uh, that these officers serve? Because I think right off the bat, an officer like this one, he's probably already feeling a certain way because he's in an area that he's not even familiar with or a part of culturally, doesn't have any connection with. I think when you increase that, then it makes situations a lot better. Give an example. I saw a kid the other night, and I didn't at first recognize who the person was, right? And my initial thing is, okay, I gotta have my head on the swivel. I need to be ready. You know what I'm saying, for whatever may happen. And then when I get out my vehicle, he immediately sees me and says, "Hey, you're Mr. Ralph." You know what I'm saying? Somebody that I officiated a game when he was a lot younger. So right then and there, no matter what his intentions were or whatever my thoughts were initially, the initial 1 second, thought of whatever this may be, he immediately recognized me from, years prior. And I think that type of approach can work in the police system where you have officers who connect with the youth, connect with the community early on, and then and even may even came from that area. And I think that would make it a better situation. So what do you think about things like that?
I agree with that. That's community policing. But also in that we gotta address the elephant in the room too. Is that most officers that go up in rank also have questionable backgrounds.
Hmm.
Uh, I go back to the OJ killing, to the OJ trial. Let me rephrase that because he was innocent of the murder. Mark Furman was a known racist. Worked for the LAPD and as an investigator. He investigated that case. There were numerous uh, infractions that they found with his investigation. Evidence coming up missing, evidence being planted. In the perfect world, after that trial, that Mark Furman should have been fired. Not only was he not fired, he was promoted twice after that. And that's what we see all throughout the country. Is that these officers, like Officer Grayson, that are put in these police departments, when they get these complaints, they're actually promoted in a lot of cases. And that's got to be addressed. You can't root out a problem, even with adding community police. You can't root out a problem when the problem is sitting right up there at the top. When your majors, your lieutenants, your chiefs of police are the end result of the corrupt system itself. They've been promoted and passed along over the years because of their corrupt history. So and the only way that can be addressed is through the federal government. Because if your state and local administrators ain't willing to do it, then that's the job of the federal government to come in and say, hey, y'all got to fix this. And if they don't fix it, they have the power to break up their police department. They have the power to take away your law enforcement certifications. Now, to kind of address Flow Glow in the chat now, I'm from reading these comments, I'm kind of getting the vibe that it may be a troll, but I'll entertain it.
Yeah.
So they said a white person cannot stay in a black neighborhood and work in the neighborhood. They're not going to work their bottom line. They can work in the neighborhood, but through that comment, they let you know that there's an unwillingness for the white people to stay around black people. Why is that? So you don't want to stay around us, but you want to work around us, which is what they're doing in the police department. They're not policing their communities. They're policing our communities and taking their aggression out on our people. So I feel like, yeah, if you're gonna have the right to come in and over police my community, you should live there. So when you get off of work, you have to face those same people that you over police. And I bet you it'll clear a lot of that up. Now, he said black people in power are cowards. I wouldn't say they're cowards. I would say they are bought and paid for on both sides. If you see a black person in the Democratic Party, they bought and paid for. They're going to toe the party line. They're not going to do what is in the interest of black people. The same if you see a black person in the Republican Party. Tim Scott is not going to step outside the party line. You know what I mean? And neither is Jim Clyburn on the Democratic side. They're put there for a reason because they are compliant. But this situation like these have more to do with what our response is going to be and less about what theirs is going to be. Now, if you're in a city where you have black representation, you can demand of them that, hey, you need to address this in policies and bring forth those policies. Put pen to paper. Hey, man, this is what we want. Hell, in most cities, $5,000 will get a lot of stuff done for you. You have access to your city politicians for $5,000. There you go. You put $5,000 on their re-election campaign and say, "Hey, we want this is our agenda, what we want done." Watch how much stuff you get done. I'm in Covington, Georgia. Out here, $10,000 make you mayor of this city. $10,000.
Wow.
City council seat, $5,000. So if you come in with a bag in hand and saying, "All right, I contribute something to your re-election campaign. I don't want these police in my neighborhood no more." Make that happen. Watch how fast they make that happen. That go for either party. And that's just my take on it. Now, then I'm gonna address this last point from the chat that black people that we're cowards. You looking at the strongest group of people on the planet. Bottom line, because no other race of people can go through half of what we went through and still exist. The Native Americans couldn't. They damn near extinct. The Asians couldn't do it because they running from this type of treatment in their own country. Hispanics, they running from this type of treatment in their own country. That's why they're here. We've had to deal with this for 400 plus years, unbroken. They told us we wouldn't get out of slavery. We got out of slavery. They told us we wouldn't never go end Jim Crow. We ended Jim Crow. So you can't tell me what we can't do because we've done it. We're people that have routinely, historically, defied the odds and came out on top. We were bred for combat. We were bred for greatness. And anybody that tells you otherwise, respectfully, you can eat a dick. But that's just from me, Hottubtony. That's my point of view on these things. Mr. 411, how you feel about
Man, look, you pretty much summed it all up. And I think that, obviously this probably came from an angle of, someone trolling, as you said earlier. But, we're not taking stuff personal. That's not how we do. Words don't hurt, things like that. But yeah, I just think that at the end of the day, I just believe that the way this, like, we are strong people. We do deal with a lot, and we've been through a lot. Um, but we do need to be better at solutions, and that's why I think where we fall short as a group. You know what I'm saying? We don't we I think we don't band together enough to get to those solutions. Um, I do think we get separated. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more of a survival type thing that we go through sometimes. But in this case, man, I do think we need to dig into like a couple of issues. I believe is one, uh, to pay for the police force. You know what I'm saying? Like get to some things that will incentivize more people to be in this force because look, it's a dangerous job. I get it, and there's a lot of times you got to make split second decisions. And for that, I think they should be compensated a lot more for what they do. Um, but I do think that community wise, man, we need to come up with programs that lead to more blacks being into the police force, more blacks that are from the respective areas, to eventually to eventually police the areas that they come from, or at least areas that they're familiar with. And I think those relationships can be forged at an early age. You know what I'm saying? At the early stages of life, and then that way, when years go by and you come up later on, you have this camaraderie back and forth, this familiarity of how the area works, the people that live in that area, people that have come up from that area, family that you're familiar with, and then things can be handled in a more tactful way. And that would help decrease a lot of this that's going on now. And just in my opinion, there. So I think we should come up with solutions to get it to that place to where it is an outnumbered situation. The phone calls made, you may get an officer that known from high school, or their parents. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's a more comfortable situation. Oh, that's Miss Massey. She calls 2 or 3 times a week. Or whatever it may be. Or that's Miss Massey. She normally doesn't make calls like this. Something must be really going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then people can also relate, like, oh, you know what, she's kind of like my mother. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna approach it a little better than approach her like she's just some stranger from somewhere. And
it?
I think that those type of things will help in this type of workforce.
It definitely humanizes the situation. It's harder to
Yeah.
dehumanize a person when like you say, you know their mama, you know where they live, they're your neighbors. When you come out the house, you got to look at them. Just, just the ability to see that person that you police, they'll power down. Because let me tell you one thing about white supremacy: it is only powerful in the dark. When you bring situations to the light, like we do on this channel, it lessens the likelihood of them existing. There's a power structure that likes to exist in secret. They don't like to talk about it. They don't like us to talk about it. And tell you the truth, a lot of us don't like to talk about it. And it's never going to be a one size fit all solution. It's going to be multiple solutions. So some might think I came up with a good solution. Some might have their own solution that is better. Attack it from whatever angle you think will work. As long as we're all attacking the problem itself, eventually we'll knock down the problem. Something gonna stick to where that problem can't exist no more. But when we ignore it and we get desensitized to it, That's part of the reason that they show you these videos over and over and over and over again. Is they want you to not care anymore. They want you to see it and to see them get away with it. Well, I'm gonna tell you something, and this is what I'm gonna segue into our next situation, our next scenario. When Trayvon Martin happened, when Mike Brown happened, no police were punished. Here we are, fast forward. That was over a decade ago. Fast forward to now. Now it's not uncommon to see the police get arrested and linked to prison sentences now. They wouldn't when Amber Geiger got locked up for killing both of them John. That was unheard of for a police officer to get a 5-year sentence. Now we're seeing 20 years being established. And if we keep pushing, we're gonna start seeing the death penalty be on the table in some of these cases. So don't let nobody tell you what we can't achieve. Oh, y'all ain't never gonna change nothing. Oh, you niggas can't do nothing. Or the people in our community, well, we can't stop them from killing us until we stop killing each other. One does not have to do with the other. Those are two separate issues with two separate solutions. So if you're saying that, I'd rather you just say, I'm scared and I don't know how to deal with this situation, because that's what you're saying when you make an asinine comment like that. But as long as, like I say, as long as we're pushing for a solution, we gonna come up with something, even if that solution make it a little out of hand. If the end result is them stop killing us, then it was worth it.
Yeah. And hopefully we can get to those solutions, man. Start moving forward on it. Couple quick things about this whole thing. Um, the body camera. Uh, do you think he purposely didn't have his body camera on?
Absolutely.
Mm,
Matter of fact,
'Cause-
I go one better than you. I think it should be a law in place in every city that these police officers should not be able to turn off their body cam. You want your body cam to turn off? It should be somebody at the end of the shift that turns off everybody's body cam. Police officers should not have the ability to turn off and on their body cam, because more often than not, we see in these cases that the body cam miraculously ain't working. Because the footage that we have is from the second officer, not the first one.
exactly. Right. That's just where I was going.
Grayson.
Yep. That's just where I was going, Hot Tub. Fortunately, the other body camera was on by the partner, and if it wasn't, boy, this would have been a he said situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't say she said, because she wouldn't have been able to say anything. So it just would have been a he said there with the two officers there, and you never know what could have came from that. But that camera pretty much shut the whole thing down. Like there's no getting around this situation. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all there. We always able to see what happened, see and hear what happened.
And especially with an
All right.
officer with his history.
Yeah, and that leads to the next thing. So with his history, I mean, why is he even in the position that he was in? Uh, in other words, why was he even working based on his history?
Uh, White supremacy. They allow it. Right now, we got a shortage of police across the board because of how they're policing. I mean, for me, I think it's a good opportunity for us as black people. If you want to get in them police departments, jump on in there right now. But the challenge becomes not becoming the officer that you came in. How do I put this? Don't become what you hate when you get in these police departments, and that's a tendency. Um, across the board, we starting to see some real fishy stuff going on with them. How they policing now. California chose to address their police shortage by making non-citizen illegal aliens police officers. That is a problem for anybody, but especially for Black Americans, because they don't speak the language, they don't know the laws, but they enforcing the laws. I see a big ass problem with that. So you just got to be careful with how we go about this. And as far as them putting officers like Officer Grayson in place and leaving them in place, that is done purposely. That is not no accident. He was passed around from police department to police department, and when he got too much for that particular police department to handle, they passed him off to another, knowing full well what his background was. They can easily pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what kind of officer was he?" But they won't do that. So just know, when you see a person like that in place, that's not by accident. They're put there. They're selected, and they're going to be allowed to cycle through every police department in the area until something like this happens. And I think Mr. 411 having some technical difficulties. Oh, there you go. Can't hear you, audio.
Okay, I'm back now. There we go. Okay, I'm back. All right, so I heard everything you said there, and man, we really like I said, we dove into that this tragedy there for us about Sonya Massey and her family, and there'll be more details to come out, and we'll be back to discuss those details too as more and more information comes out. But it leads to this, Hot Tub, and I know you've been keeping up with the Olympics a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm
you have.
watching. I'm seeing Team USA and Scar Richards. Congratulations on the silver. I wish she could have got the gold medal. And Simone Biles is just
You know
dominating.
what? Yeah, Simone Biles is like she's definitely the goat in her profession. There's no question about it. We're gonna be talking about someone who a lot of people claim is the goat, but I don't think we think that in a minute. But you got Team USA out here. They're doing the thing, swimming. Man, there was some. I saw some gold come home there, swimming as well, and other sports too. But with all that said, with all this competition and everything, and by the way, Lamont E. Thomas will be on later on today. Uh, he is a track and field expert. He's at the IMG Academy. He is a director for track and field, and over in IMG Academy, he'll come on and talk about the some of the track and field events, and in particular, Sha'Carri Richardson in that race where she won silver in that race. But she's going to talk about that race in more detail. But Team USA, man, we just talked about the Sonya Massey incident, the tragedy. What a platform here for Team USA to be able to speak out on things here, and we're not hearing anything from Team USA. We're not hearing anything from King James, LeBron James. He's the individual that the media has told us is the next Muhammad Ali. He's the next one that stands up for everything. And I want to get your take on that. Do you think LeBron is the next Muhammad Ali? Do you think he stands up for issues as they say he does in the media? And then Jaylen Brown. All right, he's not on the USA basketball team. Definitely should be on there. Finals MVP. He's an All NBA performer. He's a guy that plays defense and offense. He's already plays a role next to Jason Tatum. So he's already proven that he can play with, quote unquote, other stars. So he's now on the squad as well. I know I gave you a lot there, but I wanted to so that you could have the floor. So it's back over to you, Hot Tub.
So I'm gonna address this. I'm gonna go in reverse order. I'm gonna start with Jaylen Brown. Finals MVP, champion, most valuable player. Like you say, he also played with Jason Tatum. Why is he overlooked and his backup is playing for the Olympic team. I'm gonna tell you why, and that kind of dovetails into this conversation. Jaylen Brown is the type of person that speaks out on issues that affect his community. When we talk about LeBron James only speaks on issues when the NBA says it's acceptable. He won't take a controversial stance on the issue because he's in fear of losing out on the money. And that's what I see with a lot of the what up, Coy? That's what I see with
What
a lot
up,
of
Coy?
the NBA athletes. Is that there is a fear there of losing your money. So when you see LeBron James don't speak out, I mean that's to be expected. But athletes in other arenas, I you know, hey, this is an opportunity. You're on the world stage, and you'll be stepping into an historic role, following in the footsteps of black individuals that have used that Olympic platform to speak to the world. You're right. He's not okay. Yeah, you're right. He's not an Olympian, but which is a tragedy in itself.
Yeah, and that's
But
what we're talking about.
when
For
you
we're
have
talking
the
about why he's not
opportunity,
on that team.
you have the opportunity as an athlete to address the world, and I think you should take the advantage of that. You should take that opportunity and speak out against issues that affect the people where you come from. Guaranteed, somebody's gonna speak out for Palestine during this Olympics, if not the Palestinian people, Olympians themselves. The Olympics has always been politics. Make no mistake about it. Since World War II, it's always been politics. So speaking out on that platform is not nothing new. It's not anything controversial. I think every athlete should take that opportunity to do that. Let the world know that you're going through a genocide in your country. We should do that here, and we should take the advantage of this. That Sonya Massey case should have been on the lips of every black Olympian in there. This is what we going through in this country. And yeah, I'm up here representing this country because I do love my country, but this is how my country treats my people. If you're not a vocal person, do a silent protest. We saw the brothers do the silent. We did an old broadcast on this channel about the brothers that did the black fist during the Olympics. But where that spirit at this year? We need that this year. I don't know why we're not seeing more examples of that. Maybe they've been warned or threatened, as it does happen. A lot of countries threaten their athletes like that. You better not go out there and say that. We have the luxury of being a little more freer, but they threaten our athletes financially. So I get it. I get it that financially you don't want to do it. But if you're LeBron James, you have nothing to lose. You got all the money. You're a billionaire athlete. What are you holding on for? You might as well let your nuts hang. Even a Simone Biles. Simone Biles, you've been running your gymnastics for the last 10 years. You ain't got nothing else to prove because they can't beat you. Speak your mind, sis. Speak your mind.
Yeah, this is the greatest platform to do it on. And I'm just saying, there's people that claim that they're the next this, the next that, and it's not happening. Uh, and I don't think that's asking too much, for them to speak up, especially when they claim that they're the, saying they're the ones that do these type of things, right? They stand up for this and that. I know that there was talk about Jordan back in the day where he was like, Republicans wear sneakers too, but hey, he already told you where he stands on where he's at on things. So, but when you claim to be the one that's a spokesperson, where are you? You know what I mean? So hey, that's what we're here for. We calling them out. Now, Corey, you had a couple questions here about Jalen Brown and who you're replacing. Well, I would say this: even though he wasn't on the initial team, when it didn't work out for Kawhi Leonard, the perfect replacement would be Jalen Brown. They both the
Yep.
same, similar size. They both two-way players, defense and offense. Uh, they both don't require a lot of they don't need the ball a lot to get points. They're not demanding the ball all the time. So and again, he plays on the defensive side. He plays on the offensive side. He'll set screens. He'll shoot open jumpers. He'll slash to the basket. I mean, you could just simply replace him with Kawhi Leonard, and there it is. But then, as Hot Tub stated, the guy who is not even better than him on his own team in Boston ends up getting a call. And Derek White, and Derek White, God bless him, but he's nowhere near the level of any of those guys on that squad, and he wasn't even necessary to pick up. By the way, there's another Celtic on the team, and Drew Holiday. So you got Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, and Derek White on the team, but you don't have Jalen Brown on the team. We're gonna play something real quick. It's Grant Hill, who's over the Team USA as far as making the decisions on the roster and things like that. And we're gonna listen to see what he had to say about it, and then we'll come back.
This is about putting together a team, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up because I think just overall, you have incredible interest from an abundance of talent that we have here in the United States. And I've talked a little bit about when we assembled this roster. You can't, you got 12 spots and you have to build a team. And one of the hardest things is leaving people off the roster that I'm a fan of, that I look forward to watching throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. Guys who've been finals MVPs, guys who've been a part of the program, guys who've won gold medals, guys who I respect, admire, and enjoy watching. But the responsibility that I have is to put together a team, and a team that complements each other, a team that fits, a team that will give us the best opportunity for success. And so, whatever theories that might be out there, they're just that. But that's my responsibility. And it's tough. It's tough to, have conversations, tell people that they're not on the team. And so I know I talked about that in the past, but I just think that speaks in general. Like I'm trying to win, and I'm trying to put together the right pieces that fit and give us a chance to win.
All right, Grant Hill sounds like he's tap dancing around that. He said he needs team player. What better team player there is than Jalen Brown? He epitomizes everything he just said. Team player. You're trying to win, okay? He won a championship. He won a championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about here?
Now I will address something that the last comment Corey made, and he brought up a valid point with this comment. Why do y'all want someone to speak for you who might not have shit to say about it? That I 100% agree with. Athletes that are not well versed in the topic, that have not touched bases with the grassroots people on the ground who are going through these issues, and who are not as eloquent to or well versed in the topic to speak for it, then in that situation, I agree with you 100%, Corey. Sit your ass over there who don't say shit. You might not be the representative we need. But if that athlete feels that they want to speak out on something, I think if you touch bases with the people that are actually the subject matter experts on that, the people that are actually doing the groundwork, those grassroots organizations, those grassroots individuals that are on the ground, well versed in the topic, talk to them before you make the comment. Y'all may be able to come out with something like what we saw in previous generations, just a silent protest, because you might not be the most eloquent person to come in there and say something.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, I see what he's saying, and I do agree with that. If you know you don't talk good, hell, I don't talk good a lot of times, and on those subjects that I'm not well versed enough to talk somewhat intelligent about, I shut the fuck up.
Absolutely.
But you know
But
my
Hot Tub.
stance from what
That's so.
I post on social media.
So yes.
I
So
just may not
why?
be eloquent. I'm not eloquent enough to talk about it, but here, this is my stance right here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But
that's
why?
valid. But he does make a valid point. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm shutting it down, because I actually agree with that.
Oh, the point is well taken. But again, this is documented. Why does the media place LeBron James as the next Muhammad Ali that tackles all the social issues? So if that's what they're pushing, and that's what he stands up for and says things about too, where is he now? I think it's fair to call him out. I think it's fair to call him out
I mean,
on the
he's been
biggest
called
stage.
out. Be honest, LeBron's been called out on this throughout his whole career. Everybody's right. He's a safe now. LeBron James is a safe Negro. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I may see something wrong with that, but a lot of people are not in the business of putting their whole careers in jeopardy to stand behind the cause. I get it.
Yep.
But if
So
you
we
LeBron
brought
James, you one of the richest athletes on the
mm-hmm.
planet. If you can't say it verbally, let your money do the talking. Let
Well,
us
we'll see.
let us see you put money behind certain organizations, certain grassroots individuals, not the safe ones, not the ones the NBA approve of.
There you go.
That
There you go.
might be a better way for him to go about it, because like we said earlier, every athlete should not be talking. You know what I mean? And maybe that's the case with LeBron James.
Yeah, but he does talk. That's the thing. So
Yes,
yeah, you
and he
can't
should
have it
not
both
be.
ways. Yeah, you can't have it both ways. I think. But hey, before we roll out, big shout out to Corey. Big shout out to FloJo as well. Uh, Jalen Brown again. I'm not sure if we hammered that home, but why do you think Jalen Brown is not on the Olympic team?
I think it's because of a fear today when he was going to speak his mind. You coming into it, a lot was going on at the time they were picking that team, and Jalen Brown is very outspoken, but that's. I think he's at a point in his career where he doesn't have that filter just yet, and maybe that's why.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Without me being in there and
yeah.
knowing, but it's curious because we see, who I'm finna say.
Who on the team? Talking about the guy on the USA team or what?
Guy on USA team.
Who Embiid?
From Hebrews to Negroes.
Adebayo?
Kyrie Irving. We see
Oh, he's
Kyrie
not.
Irving, and Kyrie Irving is very outspoken. Is it me?
Hot Tub, are you still there? All right, we have a little technical difficulties here, but
Okay,
we'll get it back together real quick. Yeah, we had technical difficulties on both ends there. But yeah,
I'm here.
Kyrie's not on the team. Kyrie's not on the team. Corey saying because the coach didn't want him. Uh, I think the higher ups. I don't see where someone wouldn't want Jalen Brown on the team. He's too good of a player on both ends of the floor, and he's unselfish. That's what you want on a team like this. We got LeBron out here. He doesn't need to be out there. I mean, he's he's out there, but and again, I understand why he's out there because of his longevity and things like that. But you don't necessarily even need LeBron on this team right now. You
Right.
know, there are plenty younger point guards that you can use besides LeBron right now. You know, there's better small forwards than LeBron right now that's on this team.
Mm.
The one thing this team actually needs is some real true big men. And you know, they're going with Adebayo and Embiid. You know, they should be respectfully on like let's see, Adebayo should be on Nigeria, and Embiid should be on Cameroon or some team over there. But you know, they're on USA. We got other bigs that could be on this team. But nonetheless, I think Jalen Brown is now on this team because you know he's starting the Black Wall Street. He's going to be outspoken about that process of the Team USA, and I just think they didn't want to have that, you know, out there on the table that could possibly come out, and even some things like about what we just talked about earlier about Massey and some other things going on. He may use the platform to speak out on those things, and I guess USA don't have time for that.
You brought up something interesting. I think that might be something we need to tap into for a future broadcast. There is a lot of African players that are from. You play in the U.S. You're from these European countries, but you are African descent. And a lot of them, I think most of them were born in Africa, but won't play for an African team. And that's the interesting dynamic. That's something that I want to take a shot at that
All
one.
right, well we can definitely do it because this is the week of the knockout rounds for the Olympic basketball play, men's and women, and so we definitely can you know get our notes together and dive into that one on next week.
That's real interesting. I'm glad y'all brought that up, man.
Yeah,
But the kind of from my point of view, to kind of sum it up, I see it from both of y'all standpoints, you and Court both. Do I want my athletes to be a little more vocal? I do, because you come from my community. You wear my uniform. But I get it. Everybody ain't able. Everybody ain't willing. Nor should everybody be speaking. But those who have the platform can eloquently express themselves, or have a well thought out, well choreographed silent protest to do, by all means do it. The world is watching. And I think you owe it to your people to take that stance. But that's just my point of view.
absolutely, and we appreciate the comments. We appreciate Corey jumping in. Get ready for Corey too, because the NCAA season, college football, is about to kick off. You got the SWAC, the MEAC. You know, we talk it all now. We talk HBCU sports as well. So you know, you're gonna hear that regularly on this programming. We're not gonna leave them out like these other networks do.
Yeah, we waiting on
So
that comeback from Coy.
yeah, so Corey will be back soon. We're gonna chop up all the SEC and all the other stuff that's going on and preview those teams. Cole from the low, he'll be in as well, and so can't wait for that. Uh, and man, football's right around the corner here. So get ready for Koi. You'll see more of them. You just got a little sample of them today. But you know, Koi, he's a intelligent man, and we're definitely glad to have him on board. Hot Tub, appreciate you being in as well. You know, as
Always,
we
bro.
do weekly, you know, we tackle the topics, man, and push the envelope a little bit, but I think it's necessary, and definitely appreciate you sharing all your thoughts there. But for Hot Tub, I'm Mr. 411. And we'll catch everybody next week. But also tune in later on this afternoon. That's why you have to hit that like button and subscribe, the notification bell, and share because sharing is caring. Because I'll be talking with Lamont E. Thomas, IMG Academy, track and field director. And he's going to be on to talk about the 100-meter race there with Shakari finishing with the silver. And we'll go from there. All right. Everybody take care. Have a great day.
Peace.
you.